Have you ever sat down to a meal thinking you were eating something healthy, only to realize years later that what you were innocently combining was like quietly inviting illness into your home? Maybe more than once you've had eggs and bacon for breakfast, or enjoyed a white bread sandwich without suspecting you were giving your heart extra work and stealing precious days from your life. Trust me, you're not alone. We were taught to fill the plate, not to understand it. I'm Gabriel, and today I want to talk to you about something that might seem simple, but is actually one of the hidden keys to protecting your vitality after 50. Mixing the wrong foods doesn't just sabotage your digestion, your energy, and your mobility. It can slowly take away what you value most, your independence. Stick with me until the end, because what I'm about to share isn't just theory or another forgettable list. It's knowledge that can become life, strength, and that peace of knowing that, at least when it comes to your plate, you're fully in control of your destiny. Let's open our eyes together. Number 1, stop combining eggs and bacon if you care about your heart. There may be no image more classic than a steaming, fragrant breakfast plate with fried eggs and crispy bacon. It's almost a ritual, a small pleasure many associate with family moments, slow Sundays, or memories of youth. But what once seemed like a symbol of comfort may now be one of the most silent traps threatening the strength we're trying so hard to preserve. Because as tempting as it tastes, combining eggs and bacon is like inviting arteriosclerosis to settle into your arteries without even asking. And as the years go by, there's no more room for these kinds of oversights. The heart, that tireless engine that keeps us alive and lets us remain independent, suffers quietly when it's subjected to diets loaded with animal fats and cholesterol. It's no coincidence that heart attacks, clogged arteries, and loss of agility are the consequences many regret when it's already too late. Science has made it clear: the saturated fat in bacon, mixed with the natural cholesterol in eggs, creates the perfect environment for inflammation and plaque buildup in your blood vessels. This doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of small choices repeated day after day, meal after meal, without stopping to consider their cumulative weight. Seneca once said we should never delay taking care of our bodies, because the time we waste through negligence is life we lose without even noticing. That wisdom becomes all too real when we think about our hearts. This isn't about giving up the joy of eating, it's about consciously choosing what strengthens your body instead of weakening it. And I'm not speaking in abstract terms here. I'm talking about something as concrete as deciding that your breakfast should be an act of self-respect, not a one-way ticket to medical dependence. Eastern medicine, especially traditional Chinese wisdom, reminds us that the body is a temple that must be kept in balance. Feeding it excess fats and toxins is a sign of disrespect toward that vital energy which, at a certain age, no longer bounces back so easily. Every bit of saturated fat you consume doesn't just clog your arteries, it clouds your mind, drags down your spirit, and slowly takes you further away from the independence you hold so dear. And don't fool yourself into thinking that just because you don't feel anything now, everything's fine. Decline doesn't always come with a warning. Often, the first symptom is the most devastating: a heart attack, a collapse, a sudden loss of strength, and by then, there's no turning back. So I want you to take this idea with you today. Every choice on your plate is either a declaration of self-love or a sign of neglect. The next time you think about having eggs and bacon for breakfast, ask yourself if that fleeting flavor is worth the risk of losing the freedom to move, to walk, to live without relying on others. And if you think this lesson is hard to swallow, wait until you find out the next food combination that might be silently sabotaging your vitality. Number 2, don't ruin your digestion by mixing eggs and milk. There was a time when lavish breakfasts were the hallmark of European aristocracy. In the grand halls of 18th century noble houses, tables overflowed with feasts that combined eggs, cheeses, cured meats, and large jugs of fresh milk. For them, eating that way was a symbol of status, abundance, and mastery over life. But beneath that appearance of success lay a bitter truth: digestive disorders, chronic fatigue, mental fog, and a life expectancy that, despite their wealth, often didn't surpass that of the simpler-fed peasants. Picture an aging duke dragging his tired body through the halls of his mansion, unable to ride a horse or attend council meetings without suffering from stomach pain or shortness of breath. All that splendor, all that show, couldn't protect his autonomy or his dignity. The poor combination of heavy foods, especially proteins like eggs and milk, weakened his digestive system, overburdened his liver, and drained his vitality. Modern science confirms what people back then already sensed. When we force our bodies to process slow-digesting proteins at the same time, we create an internal conflict that drains our energy, inflames our digestive tract, and accelerates the wear on our vital functions. The Stoics reminded us that true greatness isn't found in excess, but in inner harmony. Epictetus taught that it's not the man who has little who is poor, but the one who needs much to feel well. That disordered need, that impulse to mix everything on a single plate, is now one of the biggest hidden enemies for those who hope to reach old age with dignity and mental clarity. Ayurvedic medicine, which has endured for thousands of years, echoes the same warning. Don't burden your stomach unnecessarily, because what harms digestion eventually harms the whole body. This isn't about trends or modern diets. It's deep knowledge passed down through generations, reminding us that eating should be an act of respect, not vanity or blind habit. Every time you combine eggs and milk in a single meal, you're forcing your stomach to wrestle for hours with proteins that interfere with one another, stealing energy you could be using to walk, to laugh, to think clearly. And even if you don't feel that internal battle today, trust me, the wear and tear is building up like drops of water, silently eroding the hardest stone. Take a quiet moment to reflect. How many times have you felt that heaviness after a breakfast you thought was harmless? Maybe that discomfort was your body asking for attention, for respect, for awareness. And if you think this combination is harmful, what you'll discover in the next lesson will make it even clearer how small daily habits might be silently draining your strength from within. Number 3, avoid gut imbalance by mixing eggs with cheese. I want to offer you a small but powerful challenge for this week. For 7 days, stop combining eggs and cheese in your breakfasts or main meals. I'm not asking you to give up these foods entirely. Just observe, with the calm focus of a true Stoic disciple, what happens in your body when you stop forcing it to deal with this inflammatory mix. Don't look for dramatic changes right away. Simply pay attention. How does your digestion respond? How do you feel mid-morning? Do you notice less heaviness in your stomach, more clarity in your mind? This isn't just another food trend. The ancient Stoics taught that the body, like the soul, needs moments of rest, times when it isn't pushed beyond its limits. Seneca said that to live well is to live in accordance with nature, and your body has a nature that can't be ignored without consequences. Today, science confirms that cheese, rich in saturated fats and salt, when combined with the cholesterol and animal protein of eggs, creates an inflammatory environment in the gut where harmful bacteria thrive and your immune system quietly begins to weaken. Functional medicine also teaches us that silent inflammation is often the precursor to many degenerative diseases. It's not the sharp pain that first warns you, it's the subtle signs of fatigue, bloating, and heavy digestion. By breaking this pattern of poor food combination, you're not just supporting your digestion, you're also cultivating self-discipline, that virtue so highly praised by the wise of old. Now, if you've made it this far, it means you value your health as much as your freedom, and that's something worth celebrating. So I invite you to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like if the message resonates with you, and let me know in the comments which country you're watching from. It brings me so much joy to know that people from all over the world are committed to their well-being and inner growth. And remember, at the end of this video, I'll be sharing deeper reflections that might just change the way you view your food and your vitality. Don't underestimate the power of a small change. Every conscious decision is a brick that strengthens the temple of your body and spirit. Today, you have the chance to honor yourself, take care of yourself, and walk with confidence toward that full and serene life you truly deserve. Because while the path to wisdom begins in thought, it's built through the daily choices you make with love and purpose. Number 4, protect your liver by keeping eggs away from red meat. Few people realize that the liver, that quiet organ we rarely think about, is responsible for over 500 vital functions in the body. And yet, we treat it with astonishing indifference. One little-known fact is that when we combine dense proteins like eggs and red meat in a single meal, the liver is forced to work up to 3 times harder than usual, generating a flood of toxins that over time build up like an invisible burden inside us. You don't feel it in a single day, but the weight grows silently. Like sand piling up at the bottom of a life clock, we unknowingly speed up ourselves. Imagine your liver as a barn where every food you eat is stored, processed, and distributed. When you overload that barn with heavy proteins, saturated fats, and metabolic waste, what was once a space of order and abundance turns into chaos, piles of packages too tangled to handle. Have you ever felt tired for no clear reason? Experienced a strange heaviness after eating, even if your meal wasn't too large? It might be your liver calling for help in a language most people don't understand. Traditional Chinese medicine teaches that the liver doesn't just filter the body, it also filters our emotions. An overloaded liver can lead not only to physical illness, but also to irritability, deep sadness, and mental fog. Marcus Aurelius once warned that the mind needs cleansing just as much as the body, and how true that feels in these times of hidden excess. It's not just what you eat, it's how that food affects your peace, your mood, your resilience. Let me offer a metaphor to help this lesson sink in. Every time you put eggs and red meat on the same plate, imagine an old horse weighed down with more than it can carry. At first it walks, slowly but steadily. But day by day, its steps grow clumsy, its breath heavier, until one day it simply can't move forward. That's your liver, a noble horse that, if burdened daily, will eventually give out. Today, you can do something simple yet powerful. When you serve your meals, think of lightness. Think of respect for that silent organ working tirelessly on your behalf without ever asking for applause. Choose one type of protein per meal. Give your liver room to breathe. Let your internal systems flow like a clean, powerful river. Make every plate an opportunity to honor your life, your energy, your future. Remember, true strength isn't about pushing yourself to the point of breaking. It's about knowing when to lighten the load so you can walk farther, freer, more aware. That kind of wisdom is the real nourishment for those, like you, who want to greet each new day with dignity. Number 5, don't combine eggs with French fries if you want to stay agile. Few images feel as comforting as a plate full of scrambled eggs next to a generous serving of golden, crispy French fries. It's one of those simple pleasures we've come to associate with comfort and instant satisfaction. But behind that seemingly harmless scene hides one of the most deceptive combinations for anyone who wants to preserve their mobility, energy, and independence as they age. Combining eggs with French fries doesn't just double your calorie load, it creates a metabolic storm inside you. Potatoes fried in oils that are often reheated and oxidized lose whatever nutritional value they once had, turning into a mix of trans fats and free radicals that wear down your arteries, stiffen your tissues, and steal the flexibility from your joints. When mixed with the natural cholesterol in eggs, the damage quietly multiplies, like tree roots slowly cracking the foundation of a house until one day, without warning, everything gives way. Stoic philosophy teaches that it's not the sudden blow that breaks us, it's the constant wear we never see coming. As Epictetus put it, it's not things themselves that harm us, but our opinion of them. We tell ourselves that breakfast or that dinner is just a harmless indulgence, but it's precisely that mistaken belief that chips away at our strength day by day. Each poor food combination is a decision that slowly erodes your vitality, almost without you noticing. Modern nutrition confirms that diets high in trans fats and refined sugars promote chronic inflammation that affects not just your cardiovascular system, but your nervous and musculoskeletal systems too. In practice, this shows up as joint stiffness, back pain, swollen legs, and a gradual loss of agility that many blame on just getting older, not realizing that a big part of that decline could have been prevented with more mindful eating choices. Today, I want you to picture your body as a garden. Every choice you make is a seed you plant. If you water that garden with inflammatory foods, weeds of fatigue, pain, and dependence will take over. But if you choose wisely, you'll walk among strong trees and vibrant flowers right into your later years. What kind of garden do you want to walk through in old age? One filled with obstacles that hold you back, or one that welcomes you with clear, solid paths beneath your feet? Remember, every food you choose to put on your plate is a silent bet on the kind of life you want to sustain tomorrow. Taking care of your agility and protecting your movement isn't vanity, it's deep respect for the gift of every new day. And in that daily, quiet, powerful choice lies the true greatness of living with dignity. Number 6. Break the habit of eating eggs with white bread. Some habits slip into our lives almost uninvited, like a quiet guest who seems harmless at first, but slowly begins to change everything they touch. One of those habits, so common we hardly question it, is pairing eggs with white bread at breakfast or snack time. It's simple, quick, filling, but it's also one of the most subtly damaging combinations to your vitality. White bread, being refined, has been stripped of nearly all its essential nutrients. What remains is a handful of empty calories that act like silent saboteurs in your bloodstream. When you eat it alongside eggs, a noble source of protein, you send your body mixed signals. On one hand, you're offering it something nourishing. On the other, you're flooding it with a rush of fast-acting sugars that spike insulin levels, promote visceral fat accumulation, and fuel an inflammatory state that wears down your arteries and your brain. It's not an exaggeration to say this combination can accelerate the decline of your mental clarity and vital energy, two precious resources that, after 50, must be protected like a lamp in the middle of a storm. The ancients understood that what comes easiest is rarely what benefits us most. Pythagoras taught that simplicity is the root of virtue, and that what is refined and overly processed is an enemy to both body and soul. That wisdom remains just as relevant today, and science now confirms that diets high in refined flours are a major contributor to degenerative conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart attacks, and cognitive decline. Let me offer you a powerful visualization. Imagine that every cell in your body is a craftsman, working for you day and night, repairing tissue, strengthening bones, clearing out toxins. Now, imagine giving that craftsman tools made not of strong wood or sturdy metal, but of soggy, brittle cardboard. That's what happens when you feed your body refined products. Life's processes go on, but slower, weaker, more vulnerable to failure. If you truly want to protect your autonomy, memory, and agility in the years ahead, start by breaking free from this easy but destructive combo. Swap white bread for something richer in fiber and nutrients, like true whole grain bread, or better yet, pair your eggs with fresh vegetables that cleanse and strengthen you from within. It's not a sacrifice, it's an act of wisdom, a long-term investment in the garden of your life. Remember, those who cultivate the present with intention reap a future worth living. Each morning at your table is another chance to choose not just what you eat, but the quality of life you want to embrace. And that choice, small as it may seem, can make all the difference between walking with strength or walking weighed down by regret. The decision, as always, is in your hands. Number 7, don't mix eggs with processed meats if you value your inner peace. Sometimes, the greatest threats to our peace of mind hide in the most unexpected places. It's not always bad luck or devastating news that shakes our calm. More often, it's the small, everyday choices we repeat without thinking that quietly sow chaos in both our body and mind. Combining eggs with processed meats might seem like a minor choice, a simple comfort, a habit passed down from times when no one talked about inflammation or accelerated aging. But every bite of that mix is a quiet betrayal of the peace we long for in this stage of life. Processed meats, packed with sodium, preservatives, saturated fats, and nitrites, are chemical bombs disguised as food. When we pair them with eggs, instead of nourishing the body, we overload our organs with toxins that the liver and kidneys must work overtime to eliminate. Over time, this strain turns into systemic inflammation, drained energy, cognitive difficulties, unexplained anxiety, and a deep internal weariness that no nap or medicine can fix. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The relief may seem immediate, but the damage runs deep. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that true peace doesn't come from external conditions, but from harmony between body, mind, and soul. How can we reach for that peace if we feed our bodies with daily poisons? How can we ask for mental calm if the biological foundation supporting it is inflamed day after day? Buddhist wisdom holds up the same mirror. Neglect in the small, repeated actions is what gives rise to the greatest suffering. It's not the big mistakes, but the daily carelessness that slowly robs us of our life. I invite you to reflect deeply on each choice you make at the table. This isn't about demonizing food or living in fear. It's about living with awareness, the kind of awareness the wise have sought for centuries. Because food, though we often forget it, is a silent prayer to the kind of life we want to build. Every combination you choose either honors or betrays that desire to live with lightness, dignity, and clarity. Ask yourself tonight, before going to sleep, am I feeding my peace, or am I planting the seeds of my own unrest? The answer, even if uncomfortable, will be your first step toward a life where every bite is an affirmation of your self-respect and purpose. Because those who care for their bodies also care for their souls, and those who walk light within will sooner or later find the path to true freedom. We've reached the end of this journey, and if you're still here, I want to tell you something very clearly. Not everyone is willing to face the small decisions that quietly shape their destiny. But you are. And that already speaks to an inner strength worth celebrating. My name is Gabriel, and I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications if you'd like to keep walking this path of wisdom, vitality, and conscious purpose with me. If you felt this message resonate with something deep inside you, I'd love to ask you for a small gesture that means a lot to me. Leave a comment below with the phrase, "I choose to care for my body and mind," and tell me what country you're watching from. Knowing there are people like you in so many corners of the world, working every day to live with greater clarity, health, and independence. That's what gives meaning to every word we share here. I sincerely thank you for your time, your attention, and above all, your courage to look inward and ask yourself how you can become a better guardian of your life and your well-being. If you believe this message could spark change for someone you love, share it. Sometimes, a simple video can be the key that opens a new door to better health, to freedom, to a life lived with deeper self-love. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep taking care of yourself with intention, walking with dignity, and choosing through every small act to honor the miracle of being alive.